After his awakening, the Buddha did not withdraw from the world. He did not disappear into silence, nor did he remain beneath the tree protecting clarity from life. Instead, he walked back into the human world, carrying understanding into movement, speech, and relationships. And this, he knew, would be the real test. Awakening had revealed the nature of suffering. Teaching had revealed the nature of resistance. But living among people would reveal something even more subtle. How easily clarity fades when life presses close. How quickly understanding is replaced by habit. How often truth is forgotten, not because it is difficult, but because it is inconvenient. The Buddha noticed this first in those who had already understood something. People who had glimpsed freedom, who had felt fear loosen its grip, who had seen through the illusion of a fixed self. And yet, when they returned to daily life, something shifted. Old patterns returned quietly. Irritation resurfaced. Pride crept back in. Attachment to being right. Attachment to being seen as wise. Attachment to the identity of someone who had understood. The Buddha saw this clearly. Insight does not automatically transform behavior. Understanding does not immediately rewrite conditioning. An awakening, if not lived, can become another concept to cling to. He watched how easily people replaced one identity with another. Before, they were defined by ambition, fear, or desire. Now they were defined by being spiritual, being mindful, being awakened. And the mind, subtle as it is, used this new identity in the same old way, to protect itself, to separate itself, to feel superior or safe. The Buddha spoke about this gently but firmly. Freedom is not an image. It is not a role. It is not something you perform. If awakening strengthens the sense of me, then awakening has been misunderstood. He taught that the deepest work begins after insight, when no one is watching, when life interrupts practice, when emotions arise without warning, when fatigue dulls attention, when the world does not slow down to match clarity. This is where truth is tested. Mindfulness, he explained, is not the absence of difficulty. It is the ability to remain present within difficulty. Patience is not calm behavior. It is the willingness to stay with discomfort without reacting. Compassion is not kindness when it feels good. It is understanding when it does not. Many struggled here. Some became discouraged. They believed awakening should have removed anger completely, removed fear entirely, removed pain forever. And when these returned, they felt they had failed. The Buddha corrected this misunderstanding. Awakening does not end experience. It ends the confusion about experience. The body still feels. The mind still responds. Life still moves. But suffering no longer multiplies when awareness is present. Others became rigid. They tried to control every thought, every emotion, every reaction. They turned mindfulness into tension, practice into pressure, and compassion into expectation. The Buddha warned them, control is not clarity. Suppression is not freedom. Discipline without understanding becomes another form of violence. Living the Dharma means allowing life to touch you fully without collapsing into it and without resisting it. Standing open, responsive, present. The most difficult moments, he said, are not found in meditation. They appear in conversation, in conflict, in loss, in disappointment, in success, in praise and blame. These are the places where the self quietly rebuilds itself, where identity slips back in unnoticed, where the mind seeks ground. And so the Buddha emphasized something essential. Awakening is not maintained by effort. It is maintained by honesty, by seeing clearly when attachment returns, by recognizing when fear contracts the body, by noticing when pride speaks in the voice of certainty. Nothing needs to be removed, nothing needs to be fixed, only seen. Liberation is not fragile. It does not break because of emotion. It does not disappear because of difficulty. But it does become obscured when awareness is abandoned. And awareness is most often abandoned, not through ignorance, but through distraction. Life pulls attention outward. Responsibilities accumulate. Relationships demand response. Time feels scarce. And slowly, presence becomes optional. The Buddha did not condemn this. He understood it. Instead, he offered a simple reminder. Every moment is the path. Not only silence, not only stillness, but movement, speech, and choice. There is no separate life where awakening happens. There is only this one. And the question he returned to again and again was this: can you remain aware while living fully? Can clarity walk, speak, decide, and respond? Can truth survive contact with the ordinary? He began to emphasize something many found unsettling. Awakening does not remove responsibility. It deepens it. Seeing clearly does not excuse behavior. It reveals its consequences. Before awakening, actions were driven largely by habit and confusion. After awakening, every intention becomes visible. Every word carries weight. Every reaction leaves a trace. This was not punishment, it was sensitivity. And sensitivity, the Buddha taught, is not weakness, it is precision. Some practitioners struggled with this visibility. They wished awakening would make life simpler, lighter, less demanding. Instead, it made it more honest. They could no longer hide behind ignorance. When impatience arose, it was seen. When avoidance appeared, it was felt. When harm was done, it was known immediately. This clarity was uncomfortable, but it was also liberating, because nothing had to be defended anymore. The Buddha reminded them that awakening is not something you protect. It is something you trust. Trust that awareness can meet whatever arises. Trust that clarity does not disappear when life becomes difficult. Trust that the path does not break under pressure. Only the illusion of control does. The Buddha also noticed how easily people tried to escape responsibility by misunderstanding freedom. Some believed that seeing through the self meant disengaging from life, that if nothing was permanent, then nothing truly mattered. They withdrew emotionally. They avoided commitment. They used insight as distance. The Buddha corrected this gently but clearly. Awakening does not dissolve responsibility. It refines it. Seeing impermanence does not make action meaningless. It makes it precise. He taught that when confusion falls away, life does not become passive. It becomes responsive. Actions are no longer driven by fear or compulsion, but by understanding. You speak not to protect an image, but to clarify a situation. You act not to control outcomes, but to reduce suffering where possible. This is not indifference. It is engagement without attachment. Some struggled with this balance. Without clinging, they feared becoming empty. Without identity, they feared losing direction. The Buddha explained that direction does not come from the self. It comes from clarity. When awareness sees suffering clearly, compassion arises naturally. Not as an obligation, not as morality, but as resonance. You respond because you understand, not because you should. This was perhaps the most subtle teaching of all, that freedom does not remove care. It removes confusion from care. You still act. You still choose. You still participate in the world, but without the constant tightening of me and mine. Life continues, but it flows with less friction, less resistance, less internal conflict. And so the Buddha continued walking, teaching, listening, sitting beneath trees, speaking in simple language, not presenting himself as special, not claiming authority, only pointing, again and again, to suffering, to its cause, to its end, and to the way that leads beyond it. Because the Dharma was never meant to be admired. It was meant to be lived. And when it is lived, quietly and sincerely, the mind does not become extraordinary. It becomes clear. And clarity, the Buddha knew, is enough.